Are you still wearing that bathrobe that you were wearing in that picture that you sent us earlier?
No, I'm now wearing my shirt again. I
You-
checked it back on quickly. I'm
that
wearing
was a
my
hot picture earlier.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm wearing my Oh shit! Is this not working? Oh no, it's working. Yeah. Okay, magic man. Okay, I'm gonna go and grab a drink. I will be right back. Where is this?
Oh. Sounds like
Look at that nice overlay.
it's working.
Snave's so good with this stuff.
Which Twitch is this one?
The Twonk camera one.
Twonk camera?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there might be something going on here. Man, I should have put on a better shirt today.
You're such a wow. It's because you're surrounded by a bunch of women. You feel like you have to look nice.
Yeah, I feel like I should have put some effort into today.
No, that's again. That completely ruins the conversation. So I'm counting on Snave to be the devil's advocate.
Oh God,
Yeah.
this is gonna end badly.
Good. No, not good. Please behave on the my TOROCast. I'm the queen bee.
Oh, okay. So I didn't hear an email go out. I didn't think I got one. Let's make sure. Yeah, no. That's weird that it didn't send out an email when it started.
What started?
Yeah, that happened with
TOROCast.
Snape's stream for me too. I didn't get an email for ages.
Sometimes I think it's like that. The app on my iPad always tells me before I get the email. But I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
it
have
is.
that too.
The stream is also lagging a bit. I wonder if he's using his like 6500 settings from the other day. If you drop down his HD settings.
Oh, right, because he was streaming HD the other day. Pretty
Yeah, I
fancy.
wonder if that's it. And I wonder if Twitch is just choking on it right now because it doesn't support it.
I'll give you something to choke on, Miner.
We're live.
Well, we're not recording yet, and so I have to get it all out now. That's the key here. Any
This is what I have to
F-bombs?
put up with.
Oh, yeah.
This,
Oh yeah,
this
better
is
Oh,
what
yeah.
we put up
comes
with.
out.
We're not allowed to swear, are we?
No, Road's not editing, so just don't
Okay.
say
I'll
fuck
just be
a lot.
careful.
Don't
Okay.
don't be
Don't say
like
fuck a
fuck
lot,
the fucking
so we can
fuckers.
say it once or twice.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Poor Miner, all these women, yeah. That empty chair, Snave left me all alone with them. What was he thinking?
Poor Miner. Whatever else shall he do?
Go back into the mine. I feel like it's really weird that I'm gonna have to like raise my laptop because I keep looking up because the screen is way above the laptop right now. Work on that next time.
The guns. Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Did you lower the bit rate for Twitch?
Did I lower it?
Are you still? Yeah, or are you still at the 6500 that you were doing the hitbox?
Oh, let me check actually. Why?
Because it was buffering there for a little bit, and I was wondering if that was the reason why.
It's at 4,000 at the moment. I don't know
Right.
why it's 4,000. That makes no sense. But
Doesn't make any sense now.
yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Let me change
Oh,
it
we got
back
50
down.
viewers already.
Yeah, I've changed it to
This is the
3,500.
pre-show.
This is the pre-show before the show, which is before the after party.
See, you're wearing a nice black shirt too. See, I should have worn my nice shirt.
Go put a tie on. Just put a tie on over your shirt.
Tie on. I don't know where my ties are at.
Airy, how do you pronounce your name? Am I saying it correctly?
Ari. You can call me whatever you like, Snake.
Oh, cool. I got a little bit excited when he said that then. Whew. Whew. It's getting a bit hot. I'm opening my window.
It's like I'm so used to just calling Rach. They were in Zam
Yeah,
Zam. I'm like, I
that's
don't know if
fine.
I can call you Zam Zam. I have to call you
That's
H.
why I just call me out. I don't care.
I go back and forth. I'm like, sometimes I call her Sam Sam, and someone calls her Rach. Everyone's like, who are you talking about? And I pick a name. I'm like, okay.
It's really weird because my nickname in real life is Snave. So when my friends come over, they call me Snave. And then the other day, one of them came over, my girlfriend called me Snave, and I was like, "What? What did you just call me?" No, you can't because you got to call me Ian. That's just weird. That's too much.
Why is your nickname Snave?
Evans backwards is Snave.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah,
actually
that
Star
makes
Wars
sense.
related, funny enough. When one of the prequels were coming out, about a year or two before the prequels came out, my friend was reading this, like, make your Star Wars name, yeah? And it was essentially your name backwards with some other stuff. So mine was Nay Snave, and they thought that Nay Snave was hilarious. So they called me Nay Snave for a while, and then that got abbreviated down to Snave. It's stuck forever. Here we go. Why are you called Zam Zam, anyway? Is it because when people see you, they go, Zam, girl!
No, my main character name is actually Zammy, but a guildie came up with Zam Zam. I should name a character Zam Zam. Smash, like a Smash Spec Juggy back when they were OP. So I did that for lols. So yeah, that's where the name came from.
Nice, Minor. Dressed up.
Oh, yep. I feel comfortable now. I had my
What?
mic muted there for a second.
So what, someone's wearing the same outfit as me now? Have we got to go and change as well?
Oh, we gotta go change. Sorry, I'll open the button so we can.
What's going on?
There you go.
You're such a swagger jacket. Look at you, copying my style.
Okay.
It's the only shirt I had on hand. All
It's
the
alright,
other
dude.
ones
You
are in the
look, you look
closet.
sharp. You look good.
Thanks.
It's alright.
Could have used one of the loot crate ties.
I could have. I really.
I didn't get a loot crate this month.
I haven't
Why?
got mine yet. I always get mine really late.
They like,
Rhodes is apparently beat up.
yeah, they didn't, I thought they charged me, but I guess I have to go in every month and order it because I'm on the, I don't know. I just thought they would charge me every month and then send it, but I guess that's not the case, so. Whatever.
Yep.
Okay, are we ready?
Are we starting already?
know, I'm not
Okay,
ready.
Hang on. Let me compare my vocal cords. Okay, we good to
There,
go now.
I have a neighbor that is an aspiring vocalist, and she just starts screaming in the middle of the day, over and over again.
Screaming or singing?
Well, it's singing exercises, but it sounds like screaming.
Oh, maybe she's killing someone.
Maybe she's just
actually.
getting pounded by her boyfriend.
No, it is definitely.
Perhaps she's just singing along.
Oh god.
No?
No.
I
Okay.
almost did a spit take there.
Hey, how's Tio anyway, Ari?
He's good. He's over there.
Is he? Oh, can I say
He's
hello to Tio?
lurking.
Come here, Tio. Let me see your face.
He wants to say hello.
Ari's pretty, but you're the real
Snake.
main attraction. Yeah, come on now.
Hello, Snake.
Oh, listen to that voice. Oh my god.
Oh, there he is.
Sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex, that is Tio.
Lurking.
You just called him a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I called you a sexual source.
Okay.
Oh,
This
wow.
is so nerve-wracking for me.
Oh, mate,
Wait,
it'll be
does
fine.
that make him a sexual predator? Is that what you just called
No,
him?
the reason he's a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex is because when he starts coming, you can see all like the little water glasses starting to ripple in the area. That's how you know that he was about to come.
Okay, sorry I asked.
Okay. Yeah, it's Snave already.
All right, we haven't started yet though, so it's okay. Let's get it out of the way now before then they're gonna behave on the show. So let's.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
So we can do 15 seconds of silence before you start.
I don't know. Yeah, go.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to TOROCast, SWTOR's longest running SWTOR podcast. I am May and I'm going to be your host for this week because we're giving Rode a break because he's tired and overworked and we feel we love him and we want to make sure that he's happy and gets a pedicure and a massage. So yeah, that was awkward. Joining me this show, as always, is Snave.
Hello.
How are you, Snave?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. It's 12 a.m. here, I guess. Is that the time? 12 a.m. Yeah, that's 12 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'm furiously drinking coffee to try and keep myself going.
It's a Saturday, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I had a late night last night. I've been around all day buying cars. I'm a bit
Oh,
sleepy.
did you buy a car?
Yeah, we did in the end. We got Audi A4 in the end.
Oh, that's nice.
It
Fancy
is.
schmancy.
Yes, it's my girlfriend's dream car, so she was really happy. She was actually crying. So, so I was like, oh, bless her.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so also with us this week, as always, is SWTOR Miner. Hi, Miner.
Hi, May. How's it going?
I'm good. That was enthusiastic.
Well, somebody's got to bring the enthusiasm because Rhode's not here.
That's true. Are you going to bring the voices also?
Might as well
Are
because
you going to bring the meandering analogies as well?
meandering analogies. Well, I would try to bring this horse to water, but I'm not sure that we could take enough drinks. I don't know where that analogy was going.
Irreplaceable.
Yes, he is. I am a horrible mirror for Rhode.
All right. That way is that what it says? All right, then. Moving on.
That's the thing.
That's a thing. Segu. This week we also have two guests that I'm really excited about. I've always really wanted to do an episode like this, and the boys indulged me. And so my guests this week are Zamzam and Ari. Say hi, girls.
Hello.
Hello.
Zam, what have you been up to lately?
Green event,
Oh,
saw your-
ganking, instigating open world PvP, having fun.
I saw your video. It's very good.
Yes, I even made a YouTube video about it, and I'll probably make more because I recorded like hours of footage. So, yes,
You
had
have
a
to.
lot of fun.
What's the PvP tricks, Nave, for editing your own video? You can never show yourself die, right? Is that
okay.
what you
So
have to
yeah,
do?
what you need to do is you need to find the moment where you've reached peak badassness, and then you stop at that point in time. Yeah. One time when I was streaming, I actually showed people the raw footage from a few of my clips where I do like a 3v1 and then cap, and then it stops and it goes on to the next one. What it doesn't show is I die literally a second after that happens, and they immediately recap it. But as far as everyone else knows, they think I've got it all. There was another one where I flashbanged someone and capped it, and then I like cut it off as he's like halfway through capping because he used a breaker and interrupted me. It's all about making yourself look as good as possible. It's amazing. Oh my god, I'm terrible. Yeah.
Ari, what have you been up to this week?
I've been doing great as well, and raiding, and pretty much putting a lot of my characters back into legacy gear, which has been awful. But yeah, it's kept me busy and sunk a lot of credits.
Are you just preparing for character or the costume program, or?
No, I've just got healers and DPS and a tank on each side, and I just like to be able to, now that my main tank has got a lot of gear, I don't want to go back to just 192, 186, so yeah,
Right.
I pushed it all over to my Guardian and my Sage on my Sork.
Cool.
Yeah, that's about it.
How far are you on rating in all operations? Did you story modes or hard modes?
We've just started hard modes. We had a little bit of a delay with getting going. We were trying to get a decent group. Well, we did have a decent group, but we've just had a lot of problems with finding new people. And we've got that now, so we're one. We've just got one down on hard mode, and we raid tomorrow night, and I reckon we'll get the next one down.
I believe
So
you,
look
Mary.
out. We're going to smash it, man.
As a question, what did you change tactics in recruitment to get new players, or was it just a paths crossing type thing?
Yeah, we did try recruiting via the forums. We didn't get really any bites at all, and Tio mentioned on TOROCast to try and get some as well, and we didn't really get any. We just found a lot of people don't want to play. Well, not a lot of people, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people just were not. They're either in guilds themselves and they're happy,
Yeah.
or they just don't want to play on APAC time. So,
Is it hard being APAC players, like scheduling and timing and trying to find things to do, or are you mostly in APAC guilds?
I'm mostly APAC, so yeah,
yeah.
it's not a big deal for me.
I found it a bit of a struggle at the moment because currently we were all on daylight savings, but now in the next couple of weeks we change daylight savings again, here. We lose it, and then the states lose it as well. So that means we pretty much go through 4 raid time changes in a year.
Wow.
Which can be a problem when we raid with like Chong and things like that because they work different hours. They work shift work that works perfectly for our time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was in my last guild that I was in, I had a lot of Australian players in it, and they worked in the mines, and so like every 3 weeks they wouldn't be there, and we'd have to schedule around that. So it's kind of, it can get hectic with people in different time zones and everything. Okay, contact information.
Mission.
What?
Are we going to cover what we're doing in SWTOR this week?
Isn't that what I just asked you?
Okay, not me.
No one cares.
Anyways, nobody cares.
Do you see my face of not amusement? That's what that face was. Minor,
Oh,
darling, dearest Minor, what have you been doing in Star Wars this week?
Nothing.
My name.
Did you get banned?
Me? No, I did not get banned
There you
as of
go.
yet. I haven't revealed my account fully, but there's a picture, as you can see, of me, and I could block it out for you. But yeah, and I have met the community team members. I don't know if they remember me though. So
They will now.
Yeah.
potentially, yes.
I would
don't
like
think
I'll
to
have
see.
to go
Yeah.
in disguise.
I would like to see what happens if you went to an event now. I imagine this really isn't that big of a deal, and I imagine they just don't care. It's just that they have the rules, and someone has to enforce them somewhere along the lines. But I don't think anyone cares really.
I imagine that they'll film video of me being tossed out of the event to show to their bosses, but then after that, I'll be let back in.
That makes sense. That seems like the appropriate way they'll handle it. All right.
Yeah.
So you can go to TOROCast.com to read and comment on this episode or any past episodes or future episodes. Hate and subscribe on iTunes. TOROCast.com/feed. If you don't use iTunes, email road@torocast.com. You can find us on Twitter @TOROCast. We're part of the Twonk Hammer family of podcasts at twonkhammer.com, and you can find us usually every Sunday at twitch.tv/twonkhammer at roughly 2 p.m. Eastern Time for our live recordings. Also, if you want to head to help us out, make sure to check out our Audible link and go download your free audiobook. I suggest Tarkin, and actually Heir to the Empire just came out, and it is the new it's the new book that's kind of before the movies. So if you are into Star Wars and you want to read that, I really suggest it. Savudu has a 50-page link of it that you can read if you kind of want to preview it before you buy it. But if it's free on Audible, it doesn't matter. You should just get it anyway.
Speaking of Star Wars related things, I realised there is something I started doing this week that I didn't mention. I started watching Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. I like it. I find the main characters a little bit whiny, but I think that's just general Star Wars. I like
I like the short shows. They don't go for a long time.
That show actually, in relation to our episode this week, that show gets a lot of support and praise because of like the female characters in it. Hera's and Vanessa Marshall, who plays Hera, is like a very big activist as far as like women's rights and just speaking out on like women in like nerd geek women. So it's kind of cool. There was a big thing with like toys that they weren't putting out the like female related toys, and that kind of got a bit. Yeah, they
I didn't know
had
that.
all these boy toys, and they had like one Hera toy who was the Twi'lek. And there really isn't that many Sabine
have one for
things
Sabine?
either. No, they didn't have a Sabine one, and it's really interesting because I think Sabine is more of a prominent character in that show than Hera, as far as like the kids would identify with, because she's more like action and she's funner, and Hera's kind of
Funner.
whatever. And Hera's like the adult, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
they identify with the spray painted kid, like the
The spray painted Mandalorian, yes.
And
Sabine,
actually, when I
your
went,
role model.
they had at Subway they had these like little sandwich packs that were all the Rebels characters, and I ended up buying a bunch of them, and the lady kind of made fun of me. But
remember
all the Sabine ones were gone, so that's kind of cool that all the little girls were like, "Ooh, we identify with this character and we like it." So cool, because Dave Filoni's awesome. All right, so SWTOR news. We'll get through that as quick as possible. Well, first. The first thing that happened, the big thing that happened this week is Operation Victory. So, Ari, you do PvE. Is your guild going to do Operation Victory?
I don't think so.
No.
Not as a guild. No, not from my understanding. Maybe, but I'm not aware of it.
Anyone else? Does anyone else think that they're going to do it?
I'm definitely not going to do it because PvE is too hard for me. I can't.
Not standing
if you
and
put
stupid.
like red on the floor, I'm just going to go and stand in it. So I can never do PvE, unfortunately.
Well, you know, WoW was confusing because there were things you were supposed to stand in and things you weren't supposed to stand in. So it gets confusing for WoW players, I think, sometimes.
Just stand in everything. My
Yeah.
biggest problem is if you mark a target, I will just hit it and pay attention to nothing else. And I'll have a DPS meter running. I'm like, I gotta get more DPS, and I don't care if I die. So yeah, I'm not a good PvEer anymore. I don't think I've been converted too much to PvP. But I think it's a very good strategy that they're doing. And I know Twitch had a big push last month on speedrunning games, speedrunning all games. There was a channel that was set up, and there was like tens and tens of thousands of people watching it. So it's kind of like the current zeitgeist, if you like, of video games to be involved with those speedrun type things. My only hesitation is the PvE events they've chosen are known to be quite variable in what can happen in terms of like bugs occurring and things glitching out and whatnot. So because it's an actual contest and it's going to be broadcast and hyped, what I fear will happen is there'll be some kind of controversy where a guild will come second or third as a result of one of these things occurring. So I hope they've got something in play for that as well.
They haven't released the full set of rules for the contest as of yet, but they do realize, from what Musco, I'm paraphrasing a Musco post, they do realize that it's speedrunning, and in speedrunning, if you don't have rules, anything can apply. Like I know there was a bug where with Revan in the one instance where you could just defeat Revan and clear the instance technically.
But even
and
things
obviously
like,
something like that.
Even things like taking all stealth groups to skip trash packs and whatnot to speed you up, is that going to be allowed? You have to have a certain comp to do it. I'm not sure whether you could like smuggle or infiltrate past those trash packs, but
we're actually having to play with that on Thursday, just trying to smuggle past some things to see if it could be done. It was interesting.
Can you get past it? I had thought that like half the mobs you get past and half you couldn't.
Well, we weren't sure whether our attempt was successful or not because we went into the room and then it bugged out and we had to all stuck it. Luckily, we had a brez up, but we weren't certain whether or not we had to drag them into a different room or whether we'd just done it wrong. But we just thought, hey, let's last 2 trash pulls there before Koratani. Mm-hmm. We thought we'll have a go and see if we can just group them all up, run them all into the room and AOE them down. And we got caught there where even though we exited and we went into stuck, we just still were in combat. And we were like, oh crap, we gotta reset this, but luckily we got through it. We just left the two remaining dudes up outside and the door shut, so we just kept going.
I wonder if another tactic might be to just kind of YOLO charge through and then just res people at the boss. If you can get to the boss.
We thought about doing that, totally
Just
thought
have
about
one
doing that as
person
well.
stealth out.
And I think that's why they gave everybody kind of a couple weeks to know that it was going to happen, so that
thought it was a
people
week.
could. Well, before they announce anything on the information, right? Yeah. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen. They didn't give an exact date, so
that's also the other problem. Where normal speedrunning content, you could practice as much as you like, and the content that they've chosen is content that you can complete once a week, and so I foresee that being an issue as well because you can't get the practice in that you would need, and you can't test your strategies enough for most players.
Sam, do you think it's interesting that they went the PvE route instead of the PvP route for their first esports competition?
Yeah, I think they're just doing it this way to test the waters and to see how successful this kind of thing will be in SWTOR.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I think the reason they picked PvE is because it's a PvE-orientated game. That's when that's where most of the players come from. Is PvE. There's not a huge amount of PvP in terms of population. Also, on a side note, the balance currently is horrendously bad in PvP. So, if they did like a 1v1 tournament or a team rank tournament, when you have 1 million operatives signing up for the 1v1 tournament and 1,000 hatred assassins and power tanks signing up for the ranked ones, everyone's going to be watching it going, what is this game? Why is only 2 classes being played? Aren't they meant to be 16 different advanced classes? So I think that would actually highlight bad areas of the game, like negative areas that might put people off playing rather than anything else. I mean, for me, that's why they did it.
My conspiracy theory is that you did such a good job hosting the 1v1 PvP tournament that they didn't think they could perform up to that level.
Yeah.
See, but why wouldn't they just ask Snave to come on and host? Like, esports
Have you watched my stream?
Well, okay, but esports,
Yeah,
you know how to behave
Snave.
yourself. Like, in
I don't know if he
esports, they have commentators. Like, people, it wouldn't that be an interesting aspect of it? Is if they streamed these things and then they had commentators. Like, are they going to bring people in to say, "Oh, this is the spots. Look at their strat. They're doing this instead of the other thing." Like, that would be more interesting. So I think
I agree.
they should
I
do
agree,
that.
but I mean, I think really, if that happens, that will be the job of the CM team. I imagine they would have like someone there who's knowledgeable, like a dev, and then they'll have someone like a Musco to be like the color commentator, and to give some kind of hype and woo kind of stuff, around it. My impression of Musco there, woo, and to give it that like the hype man type of phase. So I don't really think that they need external people
I don't
to
think
do
you're
it.
giving yourself enough credit here, because your commentary during your 1v1 on what abilities were being used when, and it was very spot on, and I'm not sure that they're
guys,
going
stop with the flattery. Oh, no, go on,
I'm going to
carry on.
stroke your ego here. And like, you PvP on a daily basis, I'm not sure how many of the PvP developers could exactly see the cooldowns and recognize what's being used when quite as quickly as somebody like you. And then it's because you've been streaming, you also can comment and talk while you're doing it as well, and not
kind of a big
freeze
deal.
up in the moment.
To be fair, the
So,
person
yes.
who helped me this time, Nexi, was really, really helpful and very, very
Oh yes.
instrumental in enabling me to know what was going on, because he plays a lot more of the classes than I do. So hopefully it's something they do in the future. I mean, I'm trying to organize a 8-man ranked night at the moment on the PTS server, either this Saturday or the Saturday after that. So I mean, that's not going to be so much of a commentary thing, because obviously I'll be playing as well. But just so people can see how different a game is. First of all, when there's 8 players, and second of all, when there's objectives involved. Because I don't think people really understand how different 8-man ranked is to 4-man arena. And even the strategies used in regs.
It's a lot different.
The strategies used in regs do not work in 8-man ranked. The meta in 8-man ranked was completely different to how you would do
Agreed.
things.
Oh well, that was
Yes,
that
it
was
Slash stuck.
but that was also due to being able to field respec at the time in PvP.
Void Star,
yeah.
you'd go heals and tanks on defense and stuff like that. Yeah.
So it's I think it'll be good for people to see, and also I would like them. I obviously want them to bring 8-man rank back into the game. So I think if we can make it a regular event, where people transfer across to the PTS and you get a big following for it, then possibly people will transfer over on a more regular basis, and we can get some legitimate push for it then. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, that would be good.
So the
But
other, there you go.
I was just gonna say, this is a good sign for the game. Even if you don't like the format that they picked or the content that they're focusing on, it's a good sign. They're trying to generate community buzz, other channels that necessarily they wouldn't have had access to before.
Right. They're listening, because I think people have been suggesting that a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I kind of notoriously once had Pocket in my stream and said, take a seat, Pocket, get a pen and paper, I'm going to tell you how to do your job, and listed off about 20 different things that they could possibly do to, run the CM team in a more efficient way. And so far, they have actually done most of the things, or they're looking to do a lot of the things that were suggested. I'm going to take all the credit from them. Thanks
Whatever.
guys. Cheers.
Anyway, moving away from Snave's ego fest, the other thing, something that we can confirm now, it was allegedly for the last few weeks, was allegedly was the crystal that you get with the Choose Your Path promotion. So if you are a subscriber at the end of March 29th, I think it is, you get a striated purple black crystal. They added that adjective in, I think, because people were upset.
Yes.
Well,
Who has a purple black crystal? Show of hands.
I do.
Maybe
Got
on
a
one of
couple
my
of them.
teams.
What I
They're
don't
pretty
understand is,
cool.
there was a guy on Reddit who posted a screenshot of the one that's in the game now, the striated one, and the one he has in the bank. They're identical.
No, they look a little. I mean, they look a tiny
well,
bit different.
This is going to be like that dress all over again, isn't it? But I couldn't tell the
Yeah.
difference between the two colours.
Oh God, not the no.
Not the
No.
dress anymore.
I couldn't
No,
tell the difference.
It's there's
Purple, black, or is it green, yellow?
no, they just it looks different. It's not like the old black chorus used to be like just like one flat color than the black, and so this one definitely has like highlighted areas. But is that worth it? Is it a reason for people to come back to the game if they aren't necessarily subscribed?
I don't think so. I think the reason to come back to the game is the other stuff with it. You know, is a really, really good deal in terms of value for money for the players coming back. You know, I think they save like a third off the total cost or something along that line. So it's really, really good in that terms.
Well, they basically gave everybody access to the referral link system without having to give out cartel coins when people subscribe. And so somebody was, doing their job and definitely suggested that they didn't have to give out cartel coins if they referred themselves.
I didn't even think about that.
Thumbs up, Muska.
Yeah, you're so
Nice job.
smart, Miner, for
know.
mining that information. Okay. Next news. Ranked. This is a forum post that I thought was interesting. And it is trolls and ranked PvP. So somebody was complaining about getting ranked arena games and a player on the server just like constantly leaving in the beginning of the game. And so Musco actually posted and said, thanks for not calling the player out on the servers. And kind of just you should report them and that they're going to be looking at they said that they'd be looking at the ranked this season. So do we think that action is going to get taken against players like that? Zam,
Maybe.
you're the PvPer.
The track record says no, but they did say they're going to be monitoring it more this current season, so who knows?
I really think the way WoW dealt with this potentially was a nice way with the deserter debuff. Like if you leave a arena or a war zone, you really should have a penalty there so that you can't re-queue.
Definitely. Yes.
Because that would reduce the amount of trolling that this person's capable of putting out at any one time. So that is my minor suggestion for this week.
All right, last piece of news is 3.1.2 is live on the PTS, and so there are combat notes up with class changes, and the classes that they are focusing on is Sin Shadow, Sorc Sage, Merc Commando, and they've actually opened threads on the forums too in each of those advanced classes for suggestions and community feedback. Most of them are DPS changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that they're making balance changes because this will be, the second or third? Is it the second wave of balance changes they've done now, isn't it? Since the
and some of these are going to be in 3.1.1.
Okay.
Like the trooper changes are going to go live the next week, but they made it after the PTS was shut down. So not all of this is going to be in 3.1.2.
Well, does anyone main those characters or play those characters at all?
No, I don't.
Well, the Sorcs, for the Sorc stuff is all kind of just DPS, and they're trying to rework Sins, and so they had to change some Sorc stuff along with that.
Sam, do you play Assassin, don't you?
No, my assassin's only level 51, so not that much experience.
Okay. What about you, Aerie? What are you maining these days?
I'm maining a jug tank, but my real main was always a sage. So I did have a look at it, and I just thought, well, it doesn't really like that. They're removing it, but then they're bringing it back for the sage. So they're really trying to look at the assassin and the shadow. I don't know. I also think that maybe they're trying to bring telekinesis down. This is for the sage and Sorc, obviously, so that maybe balance can come back up. You remember this happened before where TK was just horrible, and then balance was in. It was nearly a 300 to 400 DPS, and it seems to be exactly the same. Nobody now is really taking balance at all, so maybe they're just doing that as well for that DPS class. But I know that the assassins really need, and the shadows really need some looking at, so I'm glad for that.
Yeah, especially in PvP. Oh my god. Oh my god, I hate them so much. I hate them more than I hate anything in my life. I hate them. It's the most broken class I've ever seen in the history of any PvP, of any game ever.
For me, the changes that they're doing as far as the meterage changes, the distance changes, that's a kind of a big difference. Like assassins are hard for me to
don't know.
disengage from. As a healer, they're hard for me to disengage from. They're one of the hardest classes to kite, and especially when even if you do disengage, like if you pop like hydraulics or you sprint away, they can still them being able to cast things at 30 meters is crazy, and it's so that seemed to me like a. But it seemed to me like without messing with the damage so much of it, and that because that does need to get worked, but like that seemed like a good thing in PvP to help like how oppressive assassins are, but I could see how in PvE it would really mess things up.
They need to really rework their dot spread mechanic, in my opinion. I think it's too brain dead a mechanic. You know, put down a template and then all of your dots get spread across to everything. You know, it just seems to be it's a brain dead thing. You use it on rotation, you put it down to hit the most targets. And the one thing that they've consistently messed up in terms of balance, and again, this is more for PvP than PvE, they never think about how classes stack together. They just look at classes on their own and think, oh, well, you know, one Hatred of Sin doing all his dots and everything is fine, which, okay, maybe it is. But when you have 4 of them, and you have 4 times all dots on everyone at every single time, plus them having good burst as well, you know, good single target focus, it's insanity. When you know, they seem to have the best of everything. They don't necessarily have the highest burst in the game. You know, I think power attacks operatives are still above those. In that sense, it's just the consistent dot spread damage is horrendous. But I'm quite surprised that they're so low in PvE. I would have thought that on fights with multiple targets they would have really pulled ahead of other specs. No?
They're okay. I would say that they're mid-range. Melee, for like half the fights, melee is not very good, and for half the fights, melee is okay, but there isn't that many like ad-heavy fights. I mean, even like there's a couple, but it's not like so constant that sort of the dots run out and then it's done, and then you have to wait another 30 seconds before another ad phase comes in. So there's a lot of downtime. And I think in changing it, there's a lot of fights like, so Torque is one that I can think of specifically. Taking that 30 meters away from assassins is a big deal because there's times that melee just have to move out of range. And so that was the advantage that PTs and kind of assassins had, is that they had that 10 to 15 meter and more range where they could still be doing DPS, because fire just like shoots out of the ground, and then if there's fire right there, you have to move. And if it's around the boss, you can't DPS.
Wouldn't it be better to make melee friendly parts to encounters necessarily that are not ranged friendly, and then you wouldn't have that problem?
Yeah, but the way that they've reworked range that you can cast while moving, it doesn't matter. So even if you had to move somewhere, like if everyone had to collapse on a box for X mechanics, so that melee are there, they don't have to move, they can just keep on DPSing. It doesn't matter because range still can.
Yeah.
The way that ranged is in this game right now is that they're just overpowered. They can do everything. There isn't drawbacks to being ranged where there's drawbacks to being melee.
That was kind of my larger point. Like they are very melee unfriendly, and so the fact that they're restricting some of the melee back to the melee range might make it higher on the priority to fix some of the issues in these operations being a melee. Because you always take the most damage, you always have the most unfriendly mechanics, and a lot of them were just to prevent stacking near the boss, but they do impact you fairly often as melee.
Okay. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about is that you and Potato did, Miner, is the data mining preview from 3.1.2. So what's the coolest thing you think from the new that you mined?
What's the coolest thing that I've mined?
Yeah.
The mounts that I sent the pictures off to TOROCast. They're adding a bunch of new creature mounts, actually. And I sent the pictures off, and they didn't get posted. I'll have to talk to Hayward about that. I also sent the models off, and they were going to load the models up in the model viewer. Maybe he got hung up on that.
Throw them under the bus, Miner, why don't you?
I will. I don't know why it didn't get up, but I'm very excited. There are 2 new creature types being added. Some of the larger cat creatures, I don't know what the heck that they're called. The ones that you see on Hoth. Those are being added as a mount model. And another little thing that's got wings, actually. I don't know where it's from in the game, but... and they're also adding...
Stream.
Yeah. Already did you get a chance to look at the data mine stuff?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I could tell you, from what I've data mined, is that there are going. Oh, hey, Snape put it up. Yeah, that's the winged creature one on stream. So yeah, it doesn't have a saddle model on it yet, but that's what they usually do. They usually get the animations and stuff working, and then they put the saddle on the creatures. So yeah. But I could tell you that outfit designer is going to be a subscriber feature.
Oh.
Yeah, who didn't see that coming though?
And so you're going to be able to unlock it on an individual character or an account basis with items that I assume are bought from the cartel market. But it is going to be a subscriber feature. And there might be... the unlocks... No. Okay. So either it's a subscriber feature, or there are extra slots to unlock that you can unlock. There's 50 of them that they put into the files. So there's 50 potential outfit slot unlocks, plus whatever normal ones that they give you that you're going to be able to purchase and unlock. And I don't know if you're going to be able to do it with credits as well, or if it's just going to be with the items. So either a subscriber feature or unlock with extras.
So the one thing I want to note about is that robot. Is that a companion or is that a skin?
That robot.
Yeah, there's like a tanky looking robot.
Oh, that's a skin for M14X.
I don't have M14X.
Commando.
Yeah,
I don't.
okay.
I don't
He's
have
the Trooper
that.
Tank Companion.
Yeah.
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 I was so upset. This robot looks really cool. Like he's super tanky. He looks like Iron
He
Man,
is
like
the
the gray
coolest-
Iron Man.
He's one of the coolest companions in the game because he's just so upbeat and patriotic. Yeah.
This also
Oh,
has
yeah.
the dreadlocks. The dreadlock thing.
That,
Yeah. Rust
that
the
is a Lord
Scourge.
Scourge
Ari, I
companion.
see your face.
Yeah, man, the force is strong with you, Irie.
I was thinking exactly that. Yo, man.
Should make a bobsled team. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the dreadlock hairstyles. I like how all the hairstyles they put in the game recently have been insane.
Okay, so all right, let's use that as our segue then, and we'll cover the lighthearted girly part of this episode first. And that is my personal thing is the hairstyles in this game are terrible. I can't have long hair on my Sith at all. All I want is like that long black human hair on my Sith, and I can't have it.
Yeah, I agree. They should make
agree
it all
too,
for
yeah.
each race.
Yeah. As far as all the hairstyles are concerned, there's a lot of when you do character customization. I don't know. Samson, how do you feel about the character customization? Like when you make a character, how long does it take you to make one?
Oh man, it's been a while since I've actually done that. It used to take me 10 to 20 minutes, probably. So not too long because the options aren't too too detailed or anything. So yeah.
Am I weird? It takes me like 30 minutes to make a character.
But do you get to the point where it takes you a really long time to create that character, and then you log in, and you go to that first area, and then you sort of zoom in, and you're like, "This looks really crap," and you delete it.
Yes.
Yeah, all the time.
I've done that before. Yeah.
Do you guys have that name in mind, or no? Do you just random?
No, I spend probably more time than I would care to admit. The thing I struggle with most of all is like names and things. So I mean, now I just call everything some variation of Snave. It's really easy. But yeah, if I look at Snave, the Snave, American Snave, Toffin Snave, they all have exactly the same appearance. So I've made one and I've settled. This is what I look like now. I'm quite happy. Although there's a gentleman who plays on the Reddit clips called Jim, who made a character called Snave in the guild called Chlamydia Jack, and he made a character and it looked exactly like me. It was quite scary how much it looked like me. So I might have to rock that body type 4 and convert my character to look like me.
Well, I'll tell you how I design my characters. I have, like I told May earlier before the show, I like playing a lot of female characters. Out of all my characters, I believe at least 3/4 are female. And I did a little bit of role play when I created them, and so they're all clones for the most part of each other. So when I do select the same option, sometimes I'll do different scars and stuff. But since they're all these clone sisters that I had created, they all look pretty much the same. But I did discover something rather interesting, okay? And I'm going to call it the transgender number, okay? If you ever want to create a transgender character, put in the go to the character selector and put in the number pi. Okay, so that's 3.141592 and however. It will create a character that looks like it's transgender, and that is the transgender number.
What?
At what point do we have to round up?
I don't know. When you get
3.14?
yeah, well, you have to. There's different numbers of things that you can customize on each one, and so you just select each one as you go down, and usually there's enough options because you don't get to the higher numbers till later. And those usually like hair options, so there's usually a bunch of them, and so there you go. It'll create a very unique looking character. I created a bunch of images earlier of the effect that it creates, and it's rather odd.
I
You'll
know.
have to try it out.
It's gonna be like a weird
I will-
morph.
I will create one now while we're on stream and send you a picture.
Oh God. When I make a character, all my characters have the same hair. They either have like the long human hair or the short hair. I don't like the bun look that they have. I get like the Princess Leia homage, but all the buns are weird in this game.
Yeah, they are.
Sometimes I think this game, I love this game, but sometimes I think that it's not pretty. Like it's pretty, like the scenery is pretty and the aesthetics are pretty, but like the pets and you aren't pretty. I don't know. I don't know if anyone agrees with that.
I've seen Snavat. Snavat is super pretty. Oh my god.
Really?
Yeah. I once spent about 50 minutes like zoomed in, walking around the house in slow mode. Like toggled walk, you know, she's amazingly hot.
But all your characters look the same way, so haven't you just established that this is the only hot combination and then that's what you go with?
Yeah, well, basically what I did was there's a character who plays called Ugly Betty who had a similar character, and I literally took all of the numbers that he had and I copied his character, but it's literally the same. We have different hair, but otherwise it's exactly the same. But oh my god, that body type 4. Oh.
I like when they added all the crazy colored hair in this game. That was a big perk for me. And with outfits now too, I'll admit I am half my outfits are really, really slutty and then half mine are not. Just, I don't know. Who else has slutty outfits?
Oh yeah, mine are 100%.
Have you ever had a slutty outfit on one of mine yet? I probably should. Just to have, that one family member that's just, no.
Crazy. Everyone needs like one Slave Leia moment, right?
I think the hardest, I had always created female characters. I rarely created male characters in any game. I think it's because I sort of identified a little bit with the character that I was playing. But I decided that I wanted to create a tank, and I decided he was going to be a real Jedi. And so I created my first male character. And by the time he got to 50, I was so sick of him that when I was on the PTS in closed beta, I grouped up with this person who just looked like Obi-Wan, and I went, that's it. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to turn this character into Old Man Ari. And so he became Old Man Ari. And I love him now because he's like Old Man Ari, but I wish that I could put wrinkles on him to make him look older.
Oh, that'd be a really cool, like,
Can't you
because they
change
have
that?
makeup.
Yeah, with the makeup thing, the
No,
complexion.
they have like scars and stuff, but wrinkles, like to have
No, that's
gray hair, like pepper with salt and pepper gray hair, if you could have that
Some
option.
of the stuff that you guys are talking about, like the long hair and the wrinkles and stuff, that's a limitation of the way that the systems work. There is an age system that they apply to some NPCs, but it's basically just a texture that adds a displacement map to the face, and it's just it's not even a displacement map. It's just uses a different pixel shader when it applies an effect. So, and then the long hair, whenever you design something that's long like that, like Liku, it's the whole helmet problem and hood issue for Twi'leks. If you make something long, it's going to interfere with gear. And so that's why when you put on like a cowboy hat, it removes your hair from your character. That's why it has the little thing underneath the hat, because your hair is actually completely gone underneath it, and so you would look bald with the hat if it didn't have that there.
Wait, but so explain why I can't have long hair on my Sith then.
You can, but it could potentially
No.
interfere with the models.
No,
Like they have
you
the hair.
can't. Trust me, you cannot.
Oh, they don't have the long hairs
No,
on the Sith?
I cartel unlock bought the long hair so that I could put it on my
I
Sith.
thought that they
put it
just
out.
transferred.
No.
They just transferred a bunch of the hairdos to different races that didn't have them before. I'm not sure if that made it in 3.1 or if that's 3.11, but that was, I did data mine that they added some more of the hairdo and customization options to other races. So if you haven't checked lately, you may want to check. It might be an option.
That's actually good to
Alright.
know.
I'll have to have a look.
Because I
So-
haven't checked in like 6 months or longer.
I forgot
so.
to mention that I saw that they had done that, and so my bad. That's a minor bad there.
Well, no, that's how is that your bad? That's that they were bad. They should let us know if that's the case.
That
if you
should have
could.
been, yes.
They should have. Yeah.
It's all that Potato's fault. He forgot to mention
I
it.
think white eyes is another one like that. Like I think you can only have white eyes on some races, or am I wrong?
Well-
the Sith ones, the Sith only ones you can unlock, and the human ones as well. Humans can only have white eyes.
It's incredibly involved to add new customizations to the game, and whoever was doing it before decided to only add them to a couple of them, but they did go through recently and add them to the other race that had them, and so hopefully they got somebody on that, and since we're getting new hairdos and stuff like that, hopefully they'll be more widely available to more of the race options. So they seem to be on top of that now.
What hairdos would you guys like to see? Is there anything that you can think of?
I'd like to see
I'd
something
like-
straight. The current one that they have, where they've got the minor,
Yeah,
it's
go
like a
for it.
little
Talk over
braid
me.
at the front, but then there's nothing really at the back. It'd be nice to sort of follow it through to the back. That's my little girly
yes,
thing.
Exactly. It has like a silly bun at the back, and then there's just all this little hair. It looks really weird.
Is that like the yoga instructor hairdo?
I
Is what I call it.
maybe.
I don't know.
I want like
Is this really long
Real-
flowing hair that's in the front here?
how about like a female afro, like a curly
Female
afro? Yeah, I could.
Oh, they've got the one that stands up, but it's not really an afro, is it?
I don't think it's an afro.
No, it's not.
They
Hair
put
in this game
pigtails
is-
in.
Pigtails.
Didn't
Why
they
don't
put
the guys
pigtails
have
in?
a pigtails option?
Well,
Sexist
mine are
of
one.
them.
Well, then yeah, make a guy's pigtail option. I know lots of guys
I
who
need a
rock-
mullet. I wonder if they'll
Yeah.
incorporate
Oh
a
God,
mullet.
yes, please give me the mullet. I want a mullet.
We need like
No.
the Joe Dirt mullet to make it in game.
The rat's tail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it could
Instead of
be
the
like,
Padawan
it could be like
range,
Jedi
have
in the front and Sith in the back.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's actually exactly what they should do.
Mhm.
So outfits.
Oh, did you see that a
what?
picture that I pasted in the chat?
No.
That's the pi number applied to a female chiss.
I feel like
I
that was
pasted
really long ago.
it was really long ago. I'll paste it again into
The pi
Twitch chat.
number.
The pi number 3.1415926.
I don't know if that lipstick matches her skin tone actually.
So yeah, that's just the way it does.
That's okay.
Can you
So
put it
one
in?
thing I do like about the cut is that all the makeup options. I wish that there were some different, like they would. I wish that they would kind of update that system and so that there would be
Oh,
more
yeah.
options. Jewelry too. Some of the jewelry is a little weird,
Oh yeah.
but I like the one of my Mandalorian has like the really intense like lip. There's like a purple lip where it like goes down, and I really like. The
After this
makeup
conversation, I'm no
options in
longer
this.
embarrassed by the amount of time I spent building my character, because literally 100% of the things that you've just said has never even crossed my mind.
Really?
Yeah, it was like,
No,
does this guy look
I'm-
like a dick? No, he's good to go.
No, I care. This is your character. This is the personification of yourself in game. Like you have
May-
to.
Maybe
What?
maybe I just don't judge people by their physical appearance. Maybe I judge them by how they perform rather than how they look. You are a shallow human being, maybe, Buzzy.
I
You should
am.
be ashamed of yourself.
I'm a shallow MMOer.
Shocking.
I'd like to see some more
Shallows.
head decals. Like I know on my stage I've got the forehead, but you can only get it with the little bob that they've got. So it'd be nice if you could choose to have the little forehead decals, whatever they actually do. They have a name.
So what you should do is you should take
Head
screenshots of
jewelry.
this and you should send them off and create a suggestion that you'd like to see this on more races or this option without that. And we might actually see it, because I don't think that there's enough feedback on this for them to have to know that people want this, because I think it's something that more people want. They just don't say it all that often.
What about, like,
really
someone just said in chat, and I was just thinking this, what about tattoos? Because you've got all of the, like, the covert armors. So how about like a tattoo pack, you know? You could have, like, the frat boy tattoo pack of, like, Chinese symbols to put on your body, or the the tramp stamp one to put on your lower back and things, you know? Just so you
But
can
don't say what you think they do. Those ones.
Yeah, as opposed to with two Chinese symbols on their wrist, one of them being spelt wrong, I can definitely verify that one. Just
Like some Orbesh tattoos that say,
Yeah, that would
translated.
be cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
yeah, I
Because
mean,
with the like, if you had the covert armor, then it had you could see it, and that'd be really.
It is
Yeah.
possible to do tattoos with their current art system, the way it works. So I'm surprised that they haven't done it already. In fact, I had forgotten about that, because it was brought up like a year and a half ago, and somebody was talking like what they'd like to see, and it's definitely doable. So I'd like to see it.
All right, and so my last note here is something that Ari brought up, and as soon as she said it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" And it is the /sit emote. So if you want to explain why it's so terrible, Ari.
Oh, I think if you just do it as a character, it just explains itself. It's very, I can't do it here, but you're just sitting with your legs spread. And you don't ever just sit. You actually have to use your chair remote if you ever want to take a screenie, because you just look terrible. Even though your robe will cover it, it's horrible. It's very unclassy.
Would you like them to sit Indian style? Is that what it's referred to as in
Yeah.
other places?
I don't know. I think that
The
they could
legs
just
crossed.
sit. Like, you know, when you go down and you do your meditator, even under your knees, you could do something like that. But it's just, I don't know. It looks different on a guy, but when you do it on a female character, it's just horrible.
yeah,
You just
as-
don't use it at all.
The
Yes.
person that I was speaking about earlier, Ugly Betty, is notorious for being able to find the best combination of emotes to use to produce somewhat suggestive positions.
The /weld is the best emote. If you stand by somebody and /weld, because you like lean over and you just like your hands go right to their.
The best
Body
combination,
region.
Area.
the best combination that I've seen is the /thrash on the girl, and then /cheer2 on the person standing behind them. Because you get a really angry guy doing that behind them, and it's
And then the woman is
yeah.
thrashing her head around.
yeah. We also worked out how to do two at the same time with the /cheer2 as well, where you like go one way and then the other way. So yeah, much ERP being had.
Sounds like my raid group right there. Using thrash all the time.
Yeah.
We would create super mounts in my raid group, where somebody would take a mount and they would start, and then everybody would like Voltron up on them with other mounts, and they would create this really long mount train. When we were having breaks, and then you'd come back, and then there was this big mount creation.
I do believe I've seen a group of people, I will not confirm nor deny where I've seen this, doing the grovel as like a human centipede. That was very good.
Yeah, I like all the emotes that are in the game. I think I like when they put them out. There's the new one, the Mind Prison spin.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
I got
only good
that.
thing from the pack this time, I think, was that.
It always amazes me. The thing I like about MMOs so much is they'll put something in the game and you'll think, oh, okay, that's just, nothing at all. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. But people will get together and they will find some way to either pervert it or break it or make it look preposterous. And I love that. I love how creative the community can be with everything. It's like when we had Gaytastic on, he was talking about all the different decorations and things that you could do. We could do something like that with emotes as well, different combinations of emotes to get the best possible results. But yeah, I agree with Jigard here that the best emote in the game, full stop, hands down, is /nobones. It is easily the best one. It's the one I only use that one now. That is it. I love the no bones. If there is ever a Cantina tour that I attend, I will fill myself doing the no bones with Musco.
So
I think the Feigned Death one was really good, and it still does trip people up if you're pugging with them. That you'll notice that they'll still come back. Yeah.
I wish it was more consistent with its light color between different
No!
people because
Oh, you mean
It's
like
weird when it's
amongst-
orange.
Well,
Yeah.
because
Well,
orange is like the uber
Yeah.
rare.
well, like everybody sees a different color, so you
Right.
may see it
Yeah.
being purple, but I wish it was just a little bit more consistent across.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Zerker Crate is that way too. Everybody's Zerker Crate shows up different for
Yes,
everybody.
it is different for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, on a more serious note, do you think that they will add anything in for Leonard Nimoy?
The Spark.
I know he
Oh.
wasn't
If they
with
do.
Yeah, that'd be
Star
so
Trek related.
cool.
I know Star Trek Online is going to put in a memorial for him. And there's a couple other games that announced that they're putting in, I believe Star Citizen was one of them, and I'm not sure what the third one was, but I was just wondering if you thought that they would do something like that.
I think it's a nice
About-
PR move for them. From a
It
kind
would
of cynical
definitely be a
point of
nice
view.
PR move.
I feel like Leonard Nimoy though is just like iconic nerddom. Like you have to pay homage when things like that happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
so.
I think it's something they can just put in the game, put it somewhere, put it in the middle of Tatooine, just like an escape pod or something, and then when you click on it, it'll have some kind of message on it that refers to him in some way, shape, or form. Just check an item in. Just do it, BioWare. Come on now. It's not like you're busy doing anything
Yes,
else.
do it.
Please.
Yeah.
And so that was my contribution this week.
Good
Ah.
job.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Miner, for participating so much.
I'm participating.
All right, well, you can participate the next part too if you want, even though
Oh,
you're not a
hey.
girl. And so this is kind of, I want to have this talk. Some people don't ever want to have this talk. It's kind of frowned upon sometimes to talk about being a girl in a video game, and then sometimes it's not frowned upon. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Basically, I had these two girls on because I both really respect their opinion. And I think that sometimes the popular consensus of what it's like to be a girl who plays video games is different than what it's actually like. It's romanticized a lot, and then it's also kind of poo-pooed on a lot. So, Ari, do you think it's different for you playing a video game because you're a girl? Do you think you're ever treated differently? Or have you ever had a bad experience because of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's harder times and then there's easier times. I found many years ago it was probably a lot harder. I was younger, and I think that I was raiding with a lot of a younger population. So yeah, I don't think it's easy, but at the same time, it really depends on the group of people that you're associating with. So, for example, my WoW experience was completely different to my SWTOR experience in the sense that I'm in a guild that there's fathers and brothers and people like that. There's other girls who are mothers. There's, it's just a more mature environment. The SWTOR community, in essence, to me, was always a little bit more mature, except when you PvP, then they're idiots. But yeah, there has been a lot of problems. I know for a lot of times there, I never spoke on voice comms. Probably for nearly 18 months back in the day, I never spoke on voice comms. And it wasn't until one day I had to speak up because I'd finally got my second set piece in Molten Core. This was many years ago. And
You did Molten
I need
Core?
that.
Musco did Molten Core once. I don't know if you knew
You
that.
should apply for the CM job.
Still has some Molten Core related Musco accessories.
Yeah. But once I voiced, they were like shocked that I was a girl, and then things changed. Their whole attitudes changed towards me, and it was like I didn't want that. So that was the time when I actually changed. That was just when Burning Crusades was coming out, so I actually jumped guilds. I jumped servers and went back to it. But I've never had to really worry about it with SWTOR. It's never been a big concern. There's a lot of females who play, and generally the females really group together and look after each other to some degree. So it's nice. Yeah.
People always say that like women hate each other in video games. Like, oh man, we can't have two girls. They'll catfight all the time. I hear that. Does that happen with you too, Rach? Do people say that kind of stuff to you?
Well, there's 4 active females in my guild, and we all get on really well. So
I think part of
Yeah.
the issue here is whenever these comments are made, there's gross generalization and a lot of subjective opinions. Like, for example, I have been in multiple guilds, more in my WoW time, where girls did cause an incredible amount of hassle in the guild. from
But
doing
how?
things. Okay,
How
I'll
did
tell
they
you.
call us?
I was
Okay, yeah, okay.
I'll go through it. I'll go through it. So there was in one game there was a girl who joined. She started kind of flirting with the GM. Was given a raid spot. Now, the problem with this was the raid spots were very competitive, and it wasn't deserved. There were better people to take. However, they had this relationship, so we kind of just let it go. And we probably should have spoken up beforehand because I was an officer at the time then as well. But then things started getting worse. So on things like loot drops, they would get priority on loot. On things like turning up without consumables, people would literally go and grind the consumables for them. They'd be like, "Oh my god, I've forgotten my flask. Can one of you guys give me a flask?" And like, yeah, of course. No, and no one else did that. Now the issue with this is that's one person doing that. That isn't an entire gender. So for me to say all female gamers are like that is the same as me saying, "Oh, some guy once threatened to kill me, come to my house, do a home invasion, tie me up, and and rape my family." Does that mean all men are like that? No, it's a preposterous assumption. You don't make that assumption. But when you have subjective things happen, and it does happen quite a lot, certainly in my experience, it's difficult sometimes to overlook that prejudice or that preconception that you have, and be the bigger person, so to speak. Now, I'm a bit older now, I'm a bit wiser, so it doesn't really bother me so much. I mean, quite frankly, I've said it before, I don't care whether you've got a PP or a front bottom. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. As long as you aren't terrible, I really don't care that much. And I think a lot of the time, it's projection from the person. Whether they've had a bad experience beforehand, they kind of escalate the situation themselves. Now, on SWOTOR, there's a variety of different girls that I play with. A lot of them are actually incredibly good players. But there's other ones, we always make the joke, how do you know if a girl's a gamer? Don't worry, she'll tell you. There's a lot of people like that who will they make posts on the forums, on the Red Clips forums. "Oh, hi, my name's Stephanie, I'm 23, I'm from this area, I like yoga," and yada, yada, yada. And don't worry, guys, I'm not one of those girl gamers. Like, get out, no one cares. Do you know what I mean? No one cares. But people do care, because somewhere reading that forum, there's an 18-year-old kid who's thinking, oh, she likes yoga and she's in my area, I'm going to go and talk to her in game. And that's what kind of perpetuates this problem that they have. So it's a difficult situation to kind of address, really, because they shouldn't have to act differently, and they certainly shouldn't have to conceal their gender like Aerie did. It's just a case that you need to find the right group of people to hang around with.
I have a story about somebody in a guild and that had WoW who concealed the gender, and it was actually the reverse. They were a man pretending to be a woman because they were gay, and so they played with their boyfriend in game. And he had a very high pitched voice, and he pretended to be a woman for the longest time in our guild because he didn't want the stigma of being gay to be the way people thought about him. And so he took the role of being a woman. He said that was easier for him. And then eventually he did come out, and nobody had a problem with it.
So,
Actually,
sorry, just to interject quick. Isn't this a lot like real life, though? Like, let me give you an example. If you are an attractive girl and you go to a bar and you see let's use stereotypes. Yeah, let's assume stereotypes are true for a second. You go to a bar and you dress provocatively and you hang out by a bunch of like jock type characters. Then you would expect them to kind of, say flirtatious things or wolf whistle at you, or those types of behaviors. Whereas if you were to go to a library or somewhere along those lines, you wouldn't expect that behavior. So I think sometimes in games, because people are anonymous, you don't know what kind of circles you're getting involved with. You don't know what people's general opinions are. Not everyone is completely open online. So you can sometimes end up in these situations where you're in guilds where you think everyone's cool, then all of a sudden you find out they're all massively racist. You just don't know these things. They just kind of come out in an organic way. It's unfortunate. I just think that currently people are scared to talk about these things in any kind of objective way, because there's a huge kind of bandwagon that if you mention anything to do with female gamers, you automatically hate female gamers and you're trying to oppress women and take away their votes and things.
Or the opposite side of that, where
white knight.
you're a white knight, yeah.
yes, yeah.
I just think as long as if you don't deal with the gender, just ignore the gender. Just pretend they're a guy when you're thinking about it, and then see if there's any difference in things. But I think the biggest issue is men treat women differently. That's the biggest difference. It's not even the girl's fault. It's the man's fault.
But
Yeah.
society too
Yeah, it
tends
is.
to just to favor one sex over the other in certain circumstances, and then completely reverse it around in other circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think you had the most apt description that you pasted the other day when we were talking about this. And then, like, I'm going to paraphrase here, and I'm not going to tell you the source, but you probably know the source. They described it as bowling, where men are bowling, and you can, you don't have any assists. You can either you pass or fail based on your own merits. And they explained that women are basically like bowling with the bumpers up. You can do just as well as the guy, but you've always seen as having that extra safety net there, and so people are going to judge you differently for bowling a perfect game with that.
And like I think that's the experience that I've had a lot in this game, is that even if I do well, I've been told so many times that, oh well, I was only in Suckerfish, or I got carried, but I don't think no one else in my guild got that kind of like hate or attention on them. And do I think it's because I was a girl and I was like out in the open about it and streaming and stuff like that? Probably. But I agree, like I don't care that I'm a video game player. Like I'm here to play video games. I'm not here necessarily as a dating service. I don't use MMOs. Like would I date someone that I met on an MMO? Yes, but I don't play video games so that I can kind of like get men or have attention.
I think that's a really good point, and both Minor and Snape said it as well. Just remove the gender. It's just you play a game, and we all enjoy it, and we all play it. And there are times, I think, where women, girls in games, can cop a little bit more because we may not get as down and dirty. Well, sometimes we can be worse, but, there can be really grotty talk sometimes in raid chat. And I guess, it's the same that at times there's probably going to be a bit of girly chatter as well. Like it's give and take. Just remove the gender. Just you play games. That's it. That's
So let me ask you a question here. I'm going to address this to Zamzam because this is actually about Zamzam. I don't know if you read in the stream chat or not, but there's been a guy in chat who's been dropping these pickup lines.
I have
The
noticed.
dinosaur one was good.
They have all been pretty funny. But how do you how do you view those things? Does that bother you? Do you think it's just amusing? Do you not care?
It doesn't really bother me. I find it kind of amusing. But yeah.
It's hard being pretty. Guys flirt with me all the time. It's such a hard life.
You take it as a compliment, right? Like you just, it's like thanks, and then you move on.
Hey, I get praise all the time when I'm streaming about being handsome.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. It's mainly from gay men. I have a huge gay following on my stream.
I bet actually.
That's not following.
I'm not even making that up.
So, do you guys
Does not surprise me.
less of girls that kind of sell themselves in video games or with video games?
Sell themselves.
I judge.
Like the hashtag girl gamer selfie.
Yeah.
I'm about to start a stream. That kind of stuff. How do you feel about that?
It depends on what the context of it is. So let me give you an example now. If there's a person who's streaming, for an example, their appearance could be part of their marketing strategy. And that is no different to a singer or a musician or a film star doing some kind of promotional work to help promote their brand. Yeah. So that doesn't really bother me too much. When I first got into streaming, like properly, I used to watch a lot of different streams. And you'd always see, I suppose Casey Tron is the most famous one. She's just some girl. It's all like cleavage shots, and it's just like people are tuning in. There's another girl I watched the other day who does like dance games and things, and her boobs are going everywhere, and she's like wiggling her butt and stuff. And it's kind of like a softcore porn stream, to be perfectly honest with you. Where if they get a donation, they'll do jumping jacks or they'll do squats. And you think, okay, you're making money, but that's you're kind of blurring the line then between sexualization that's selling rather than the actual gameplay itself. But if that's what you want to do and it's allowed in the rules of the terms that the site you're using, then I don't really have an issue with it. I do think that it does detract from anything else that you do on the stream, though. So, like, if you were streaming the gameplay and you have a big thing about doing jumping jacks for money, then the majority of people there to watch you do jumping jacks. They're not there to watch you play League or whatever it is they were playing.
But isn't doesn't that add to the problem? Like, doesn't that just make it worse that because it very much so in far as streaming and like game popularity and notoriety as the girls that succeed sell themselves. So how do you stop that? And how do you not be a hater? Like, am I a hater because I don't like girls that do that? Like, I would rather see more professional gamers that are girls for their merit rather than anything else, because that's how we're watching them for gameplay. Like the men who are successful in this game, it doesn't matter what they look like, right?
No, that's true. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, if you look at a lot of popular streamers who are very attractive, that certainly helps their brand somewhat. Like when I streamed the 1v1 tournament last week, there was a certain blogger who made a comment about a sexy Swedish boy being on the 1v1 tournament.
Who was that? Yeah, he was pretty sexy.
Yeah, I hate Swedish people so much, man. It's like, oh god, they're such a master race. I wish you could be reborn as Swedish, man. Jesus Christ. A Swedish 5 is like a Welsh 20. You know, they don't exist over here. I got hope because I was speaking to Nexi and he was like, oh no, I'm not that good looking. And I was like, yeah, not good looking for a Swede or like not good looking? And he's like, oh no, I'm just not good looking. He came on, I was like, you mother... This chiseled beast of a man. Doll. You know, I was like, oh my god, this is... he's above me on this. I'm like, you make me look worse now. I'm the ugly friend who makes him look better by comparison. Jeez. So I certainly think
what you're
helps.
saying though, May... Sorry, Snow.
No, carry on.
I think what you're saying though, May, is that also what kind of audience are those streamers attracting? Because most, and I'm generally speaking here, are people who, you know, are legitimate or above board. They might watch that for a little while, but it's not going to hold entertainment for them. They too would probably want to see more streamers or gamers, regardless, that actually knew what they were doing instead of just watching the Smutville.
And
so I think it says a lot about the audience or that person.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword as well. I watch a lot of Hearthstone streams, and there's two female streamers who are very popular in Hearthstone who are both very attractive, Dia Nadia and Hafu. And they are both exceptionally good at the game. They're very, very good at the game. But they get dismissed a lot of the time because they are pretty girls. You know, so I don't think people take them as seriously as they would. And either May has had a stroke or her camera's frozen. Oh, no, it's back now. Okay, never mind. Okay. And it also escalated quite a lot because this one particular streamer, Hafu, had nude pictures of her leaked as well. So, I mean, that became like a Twitch thing where everyone's like spamming Hafu nudes over and over again. So I think it can be a very double-edged sword for them. The ones who do want to be taken seriously, it's almost like being attractive is a disadvantage to their credibility. And I disagree with that. I think you should just, you know, before you pass judgment, at least spend the time to see whether they're any good or not, you know? But it's definitely a foot in the door. For you know.
What about in Star Wars, in SWTOR specifically? How do you feel that? Do you think that there's sexism, like in the NPCs? Do you feel like it's pretty even as far as SWTOR is concerned?
Well, do you want anything that is written by a society that contains sexism will have that sort of slant at some point or another, whether intentional or not. I think that for the most part that there is no gender slant in Star Wars for the most part. They went overboard in a lot of those tensions early on, and especially on cis side, they focused all of that more on the race rather than anything else. And so you were either a slave race or whatever, and so there was that tension there. But well, with like same gender romance is probably the thing that is lacking in the game pre-launch. Pre-McKeb.
Yeah.
But even then, this, you know.
I didn't have an issue with that either. I mean, I looked at this from a purely kind of mechanical point. To launch a $300 million game, allegedly, with a controversial story arc, well, some people did argue that it would help sales. It also had the opportunity to hurt sales. There are a lot of homophobic people in the world, and if all of a sudden they get turned off Star Wars as a whole because of this, that could have a huge financial impact. So I can understand from a business decision why they wouldn't do it. I'm glad they did introduce it into the game, though. I think BioWare is a very progressive company, and I'm very glad they did add it in. But the other thing is, I'm guessing if we ran the metrics to the character and the player playing that character, how many male people had lesbian relationships just because they could. That's the other thing, you know.
That's
I have lesbian relationships I like flirt with every option that I can flirt with somebody in this game. I flirt with somebody. I'm not gonna
So
lie.
you play this game as yourself, and you are
Yeah,
P.
basically. Yeah. Haven't you read my fanfics, Niv?
Not in that one, no, not in that one.
Oh. Anyways, but I was having some Skype issues there, and going back to the larger point of sexism and in general in society, the way that you fix that overall is you honestly have to bring up kids to respect
Yes.
your values and wait for the people with the other values to die, because that's how society changes. Like you can protest, and it's people will not change their mind for the most part. So as soon as they become set in their ways, that's it. Like you're not going to change. I guess I'm having back Skype issues again.
But isn't part of the problem anonymity also? Like, I think that
Yes,
the way that
internet
I get
amplifies it.
Oh yeah.
the way that I get treated by some people in this game, if I don't think that they would, even if they're a terrible human being, I don't think that they would say those types of things in front of their mother. And that's like the latent repressed sexism that they talk about, where it's not, you don't do it overtly, but when you can get away with it, you make the slight comments. But I don't know. Do you think that Star Wars does enough as far as controlling that? Like, has anyone ever had a problem in this game as far as being harassed or anything?
I've never
Haven't
had a
had
big
any
problem with it, and
No.
most of it's just, people having a little vent where,
I ask you a
and
question,
that's it.
Mary.
They get it out of their system. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're also you're in a relationship with Tio. Also, congratulations, by the way. I hope to God
Oh, yeah.
that it inherits his cheekbones, nothing else. Everything else from you, just his cheekbones.
Okay.
Does that change anything at all? Because I would have thought that would either make you a bigger target or a smaller target, if you know what I mean. Because some people might respect him and therefore not say things to you, and other people might think, oh, I don't like that guy, therefore I'm going to go after his partner. Do you think that is a factor at all? Have you come across anything like that?
Well, I have. I hid under the radar there for a long time, and then it was, it was out and about, and couldn't hide it when we went to Vegas, I suppose. And, a lot of
Apparently
people
not,
did
no.
refer to...
Was that about 9 months ago?
Can hide now. Yeah, a lot of people did, refer to me as Tio's girlfriend, and that, rubbed me up the wrong way, because I think that I have a little bit more to offer than just being somebody's girlfriend or their wife or whatever, So I think I did have a tweety rant about it, and then I thought, oh well, whatever, move on. But I think most people that I care about, which are my guildies, I've been around long enough that they know, and that's all that matters. I don't really give a crap what anybody else thinks any longer. But I've never been under attack from anybody because, well, we're not bad people. He's not
he's
he's
delightful.
not disliked in the community. So
Right.
I
maybe if he
imagine-
was, because there are other people who are just douchebags in the community, and I wonder how
any
that
community.
affects their partner.
It's like any community of people, okay? You're going to have a certain percentage of douchebags and certain percentage of... Oh, I'm going to try to keep the swearing to a minimum. But yeah. Like, you just can't avoid it.
Yeah.
I've only
Yeah.
had one really bad experience, and it had less to do with me and more to do with another girl, but like I watched her get like very harassed on this game, and for things not to happen, like multiple tickets get sent in for weeks and weeks and weeks, and almost nothing happen. And to the point it did get like I did have some issues with that person, and it's the point now where I've made the decision to switch servers because whenever I see him on server, like I don't want to talk in general chat because I'm afraid if I say anything, he'll go off on me. It's hard.
Is that gender
See,
specific?
that's not right. That's so not fair that is allowed to happen. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, why? That's exactly why.
Oh.
Why can't something happen?
Goes
now?
back. It goes back to like the person that's queuing for rank and leaving the game. They're just not focusing enough their CS or their customer service efforts to get these people out of the game. It's nothing to do with gender harassment or anything else. I think that they're just not enforcing and getting the people out that are causing the issues for everybody else.
I don't know.
That's
I think
across
it's
the board.
gender harassment because it wasn't like, oh, May's
No, I'm
so
not saying
bad,
that it's.
don't queue for ranked. It was like May's a
Well,
like,
yes, it is gender harassment,
the
but I
types
don't
of
think that
insults that people say about girls. You know what I mean? Like it's the same stock insult sheet that just
Okay,
gets
so-
used.
yes, but I don't think that they're focusing on
Yeah.
gender harassment as an
Right,
issue
okay.
to not enforce.
Okay.
I think across the board they're not enforcing it. I'm sorry if it came
No,
off that.
I didn't understand what you're saying, but I get
I think
now.
harassment generally isn't treated particularly seriously in this game. As a
No,
general
No, I don't
rule.
think it is at all.
No.
I mean, I've said some horrendous things, and I've never had any suspensions for it. Please don't go through my chat logs, by the way. But nothing kind of
I
inflammatory
got
in that
banned
way. But
from WoW. I got banned from WoW for 24 hours for telling somebody to sit on it and spin.
yeah, they're a lot more harsh in WoW.
24-hour ban. Yeah, and I've never. I don't say stuff like that generally speaking, but that was pretty tame, and I still got a ban.
Yeah, I
So
got
does-
the same thing.
So do we think that BioWare's to action people affect the things that people will say in game? Like if people were more afraid to say the
Yes.
types of things in game, would that change?
Yes.
Absolutely. I
That-
think that there
that's-
needs to be a lot more accountability, like responsibility from their part to step in and customer service to go, let's investigate this is an actual problem. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, some people, nobody really deserves to be harassed. Some people it might be, well, you started this, like, and you just couldn't handle it, you
Yeah.
know, the feedback. But other
Oh.
people, it's like, that's just not okay.
Mhm.
No one deserves to be spoken to like that. And it can
There's
affect people.
honestly-
They can get abused and never want to go back. Look at PvP, how toxic that environment is, where you have so many people go in there because they want to learn, they want to try, and then they get all this hate. Oh, you're a crap player and everything, and they're too scared to go back in because, well, they're trying to learn. It's really toxic. It's bad.
I don't think that's. I think PvP
well-
is getting unfair.
There are people. Yeah.
Why? Why do you think
And the
so?
competitive nature,
It-
the competitive nature brings out that animosity in people, I believe.
But why
That would otherwise be below the surface.
Yeah, but
But it's like what May said too. You wouldn't speak to your mother or your family in some of the ways that people do. So you know, it's that competitive nature is there, but it's like tone it down, guys. I know I PvP'd and truck them out. You know, it's really bad, but I don't abuse people.
right.
I just say it out loud, not to them.
So one thing that when I was kind of doing some research for this episode, I saw that in other esports events, so in Hearthstone specifically, in their Hearthstone tournament, they had said that it was a male-only event.
That wasn't Hearthstone, was it? That was an independent tournament. That wasn't Blizzard.
Yeah.
But it was I'm not saying that it was Blizzard because I do not think Blizzard would do that. But why do things like that happen?
Because
still?
people are stupid. I mean, this is why do people care if you're black or Asian? Because some people are just stupid, and there was probably some idiot somewhere who said, "I don't want any girls here because girls ruin everything," and they give everyone cooties.
No. Okay, well, here's the thing. I do remember this story about Hearthstone, and the part that you brought up was kind of like the least worst thing that they had done.
Then please tell me the worst thing.
So the worst thing that they had done. The reason that they wanted to do it is they wanted to create in esports. They wanted to create leagues that were male and female specific.
Oh,
so
okay.
if they thought that this is the reasoning. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Okay, I'm going to explain their reasoning. Their reasoning is that they wanted to match players up based on gender because there might have been some difference between the two of them, like there is in normal sports. Okay, and so
but that's
no,
Whoa,
hold on.
whoa.
I'm not fully explained. Okay, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm explaining, and to be recognized as a sport, okay, they had to have these rules instigated. Like you have to have gender separation in sports. It's one of the things that has not been overridden. So if you wanted to do this, you had to have the gender stipulation. Okay, and so the worst thing that they did though was after this came out, okay, they had a whole thing about transgender people, where you could only have one transgender person per team, and if you had more than one on your team, and I don't know how they were going to do the checks, okay, after, Because if it was found out that you weren't female, which there is so much more to human sexuality than male and female. There is a whole mosaic in between of that. And there are people that don't fall into either bucket, okay? And that's not their choice. But their rules were ridiculous. But they had come from a place where somebody made a decision, and then they tried to make it better, and they ended up making it worse. And so it's just people not knowing how to handle these gender issues as a whole.
I guess so. The first thing that you said that kind of like me
Yes.
was
Go
the.
for it. Here's
All right, so the separation of gender in sports. Yes,
it's
that's
for fairness
it's
purposes.
that's such an antiquated idea.
No,
While
no, not at all.
I'm making air
while
quotes right now.
biologically speaking, you could make the argument that men have certain biological traits that make them more fit for certain things. That's
You can make
but
the
that's
same argument. You
about
can make
women.
the same argument about white people versus black people for swimming versus
So,
running,
that,
and
so
it
there
all
should
has
be
to do with their
different
belly
leagues
button.
because of race.
Okay.
No, if a woman could perform at the same standards, ability, and like hit all the checks as well as some men, why couldn't she participate in this? In like what we have to separate the
Okay,
sexes?
so are
Isn't
you
it
talking
a
about
skill
general
thing?
sports now, or are you talking about esports? Because there's a
Okay,
huge gulf in those things.
General sports, but apply
Okay,
it to
you
at
cannot-
esports. It applies even
You
better. Like,
cannot have mixed gender, and I don't mean like transgender sports, because physically men have a tremendous advantage over females. And you can look at any sports woman, like there's a famous story of, I think it's one of the Williams sisters, I think it's Serena Williams, who was beaten by the ranked 300 male player who was drunk at the time he played her.
but
Now-
that's one thing. You're saying that not any woman ever could perform at the same level as some men in a sports thing.
In a physical
In some
sport,
On average,
I'm not talking about the average. Sure, I'll give you the
okay.
average that that's the case, but an
No,
exceptional woman couldn't perform at the same.
hold on.
Like,
Let me get the full argument out before you start criticizing it.
Okay.
On average, okay, men will, at the top end, will be better at certain things than women are, okay? And women are at the top end of any field will be better than men at certain things, okay? But the
like
difference...
what? Give me an example of a women's field.
this seems a bit like
standard-
argument
so
bait
much
here,
better.
so I'm not
Yes,
going to entertain.
okay, no, I'm not fully done saying. But the variation in the specific gender is so much wider than that average. Okay, you could have a woman that can compete with a man at whatever is considered the man's best thing, and it does happen.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not saying that it doesn't.
In what sport?
But in what sport?
Name me one sport.
I am not going to debate that any further because I'm not a sports. I don't follow a lot of sports. Okay, so I couldn't give you one.
I would argue that, like, just like first example off my head, I would argue that some women softball players would be able to play in like
Those
very,
underhanded
very good.
pitches.
No, that's like one aspect. Not every person is a pitcher. Okay, like that's like the thing that we think of. Can she hit the ball as far? Can she catch the ball as well? Can she throw it as well? Maybe, you don't know.
Yes, and they can. But people set up these biases, and they have these biases, and they don't realize that they have them.
Okay, so let me ask you a question on this, because there's
Yes.
the only sport that I follow, and this is actually a relevant discussion because it's been talked a lot in this sport recently. A sport that I follow a lot is mixed martial arts, and there's two very prominent female fighters at the moment. One of them's fighting tonight, actually, and a lot of things has been said that she could beat up men of the equal weight class as her because she is that skilled at. She's a judo girl, but she's that skilled at fighting. So, are you saying that you would be an advocate for a trained mixed martial artist to get into a ring with a female mixed martial artist? So, if she's 135 pounds, so if they got the 135 pound male champion and they put her up against a 135 pound female champion, you would think that is appropriate?
Yes.
That is absolutely horrendous.
There's girl wrestlers have to wrestle boy wrestlers here in like middle school and high school. How is it any different? It's a sport. Gender has nothing to do with it. Your ability to perform in that activity is what matters.
High school is not the comparison to make for a start.
Okay.
Look at fully grown adults, and it would not do well. Men have a tremendous advantage in physical activities over women because we are filled with testosterone. Our bone structure is different. Our musculature is different, and they have a innate advantage over females in physical activity. They do. There is no kind of sexism involved with that. That is just simple biology. Now, there are some skill-based
On
sports.
average.
On average, yes, on average. Now, when we're looking at the top of the food chain, which is what the argument that May is making, to abolish this separation, then that average isn't going to be there. You're looking at the peak athletes. There was a female golfer who had a great drive, so she tried to join the male league. Didn't place anywhere. Didn't get anywhere close to anything. You know, it's unfortunate, and it's a physical activity. You know, the other female athlete who's very prominent in mixed martial arts is a woman called Christine Cyborg, and she's taken a lot of steroids, and she's failed a lot of drug tests. That's not speculation. She's failed a lot of drug tests. She could arguably compete with a man. However, a lot of that is to do with hormone injections. There's another female fighter called Fallon Fox, who's actually a transgender fighter who takes hormone supplements too, and now they fight against women. So I don't really, I'm not a fan of that.
Back to the discussion about gaming, like we
Yeah. So
skedaddle back
anyway,
into this.
what I was
But
saying
it
is,
was his own thing, right?
for esports,
Yes.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I 100% agree that women and men can compete on an equal playing field. I have no issue with it whatsoever. If you expect me to be comfortable watching a girl fighting a man, that is no bueno. And that's not any kind of sexism thing. That's just not going to be a competitive.
In a ring in real life, okay? In a virtual ring, I'm all for
Oh
it.
yeah, big time. I
think-
love it. I wish there was more being done to promote female gaming in terms of competitive, high-end female gaming. You know, when I look at, I don't follow League and I don't follow Dota, unfortunately, but I don't see many female people, you know, on the teams pushing things. I want to see that more. I want to see this high-end, world-class gameplay. There needs to be some people who get together, and I know they've had the whole kind of like female stream teams and female groups together to try and promote a game and stuff. But I've never really seen them like winning world championships and things. I think that's what would be incredibly beneficial, and that is what would help people start taking them more seriously, and it would get rid of a lot of prejudice that are there. I genuinely think that's what's needed for them right now. You guys need a hero. You need a Batwoman.
Well, if SWOTO does go into esports, there is a large percentage of women who play, so
Yes.
maybe there is something there. I know that you know, League and things like that have predominantly in the past been pushed to males, and then the females who do get in there, there's a lot of articles on it. They're just treated like crap. So again, it goes back to the first point that May brought up, but SWOTO, maybe there's something there if they push it forward.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be a
What
community
kind
that
of
maybe
esports would you like to see? What part of the game would you like to see turned into esports? Hotball.
Oh God, yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Competitive hotball. It would be great, wouldn't it? Everybody would get rooted and pulled into the acid, and the ball wouldn't go very far because you'd have
Okay, now
eight
they've
roots.
addressed the
Not
balance
Quest
issue.
Hubble.
Maybe they might address something about the roots at that point. And the clicker macros, while hunkered down next to the ball stand, might also get addressed at some point too. So yeah,
Well, that was the only problem
Hey.
with Hatball, though. I mean, Hatball was
Yeah.
and especially the state of the game now. Hatball is actually probably the most viable map for 8-man ranked.
yeah. I just wish the ball distribution went to somebody standing near the ball when it
Yeah.
spawned. If there were multiple people there, as long as you weren't stunned,
The issue with it
and then
was
it wouldn't come down to clickers.
the way that the Hatball meta kind of evolved was whoever had the ball would score, because it was very difficult to kill a tank with dedicated healers who could like line of sight fire pulls. So the idea that was bounced around originally was that if you score, the opponents get the opposite, get the ball back, like it happens in any other sport. The issue with that then it will come down to who gets the ball first would essentially win the game. So there's some balance things that I need to address with Hatball. I wouldn't mind like a random spawn point for Hatball. It could spawn in one of 5 different nodes, in the center, put like 5 spawn points there and have it randomly, so you have to do more control on it. And also, I'd like to see if they did introduce a competitive Hutball League, which, I mean, I don't think they're going to do, but if they did, they need to regulate it really heavily at the beginning to make sure that no one is using macro play to get the ball. Because that one mechanic literally ruined that entire game mode. You'd have one person there, and I know there's a skill involved in getting to center and that kind of stuff, but typically what you would do is you'd have an assassin or a sniper there, and they'd use their immunity, and then they would just press a button that would spam the right click 1,000 times per second, and then they'd get the ball. So if they address that, then I think it could be incredibly good. The other good thing with Hutball is it doesn't exist in any other game. There's no other Warzone like that. It's such a USP for Star Wars. Unique selling point for Star Wars. They could really push that. Like, do you like Star Wars? And they got the whole arena thing. They got the Gerard of the Hutt, and they got the band to go in.
Just make some new commercials with Baron Deathmark.
Yeah.
And get Brian and Chuck from the Bad Feeling podcast to write some of them for him. You could
brilliant.
just imagine that, right?
That'd be really good.
And also,
that'd be cool.
if they had like a spectator mode, if they put something in there where a third person could go in and just observe the game, that would easily be the best game to call on. If you're doing commentary, it would be so good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I miss Hutball.
So that's the suggestion then for the next esports tournament for Star Wars is Hutball League, right?
Yep.
Be good.
And it'd be cool if you had to have like jerseys, like if you had to team dye yourself. You know what I mean? Like everybody had to have like your part of the thing is your team all had to color dye one color.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Just run around with the covert stuff on, and they just all be naked.
I like that you mentioned that, because
Shirts versus skins.
One thing I think is missing from this game is that sense of team identity. Like in arenas, WoW you have team names for arena teams. I'd like that. If you do 8-man ranked, you should have to make a preset team, to get that incentive to join guilds and to get that edge in recruiting people. It'd be so good. You can all come and join my new guild, Warbush. We can be Team Warbush. We can go against.
Yeah, we had this discussion yesterday, didn't we? I came on your stream and we were talking about it. Was it yesterday?
I was pretty drunk last night.
Yeah. Anyways, where we were discussing that basically there is no team ranked because people don't want to queue in, because the second they queue in, they get matched up with the top end team because there's only like one team on their server, so they get matched against them. And so if they ever get cross server working, I think team ranked would be a much more viable option, and they should add the teams in. At one point in their development, they were experimenting with adding a guild insignia to certain items that you could recolor and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that's something that they dropped, that they're not working on anymore, because it's possible lots of that stuff ends up in the game. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Tauntaun is one of them. But, yeah. Still would like to see that.
Would you be up for making it? Let's say, for example, they implemented either a 4-man ranked team where you actually have a team, or 8-man ranked where you have a team. Would you be interested in setting up an all-female set of gamers, May?
No, I would want to have the 7 players other than myself who I think are the best.
So you wouldn't want to do like a gender-specific one just to try and prove the point? No? Okay. I was just asking the question. Don't get angry with me.
No, I'm glad you asked the question. But yeah, I would want... I'm competitive to win, so I would want the 7 people that I thought were going to have the best chances of winning.
Yeah.
Rather, I don't need to put the hashtag girl team, like...
Yeah.
As a way to get attention, or because that's not gonna. So I'm gonna find 7 other girls just for their girls. Like that doesn't mean that we're gonna do well. If it was like here's the competition for like who's gonna get the most attention, then yeah. But
you know what I'd like to see now that we're talking about this? I just had this whole flashback of like dodgeball, and like if they could take the Hutball concept and make a sort of dodgeball out of it, I'd love to see that as a PvP type.
So you throw the ball to a person to get them out of the game?
Well, like the balls spawn on random things. Your whole idea with the random spawners made me think about it. Like you could spawn it and then throw it, and then if you have a ball, you have a chance to catch it or what have you. But it was just sort of interesting that I thought about that.
I'd like
That's
to see
my minor tangent for the day.
I think that it's a really interesting mechanic because it really is their only kind of unique type of Warzone. And I think the more they put into it, the better, really.
Yeah, but if you could only play hutballs, wouldn't your team comp be significantly one or two things? Like you'd run 4 PT DPS because you'd have all those pulls, and you'd have all the and then like a PT tank,
I'd like
you'd
to
want
see
sins
more-
because the sins have full. What you would stack so many power techs, hydraulics, Colto.
I'd like to see some more. I'd like to see some more hutball maps if they ever did this, where being able to pull somebody down off an objective isn't necessarily the winning play. Like I'd like to see somewhere maybe going down is the advantage, and rather than staying up high.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you go what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get you.
Let's take the whole concept where the ball spawns on top of the pyramid and you have to go down. So getting knocked off is better, and then you can line of sight because people are always above you. They can't pull you out.
So the opposite of Kesh hutball.
Yeah.
Opposite of cash.
We'll call it a sec hutball. We'll just do Kesh. What's Kesh backwards?
I also don't think that stacking power tax would necessarily.
Why don't we just call it Hothball and set it on Hoth?
Hothball. I like it.
You wouldn't stack power techs?
I would probably stack. It would probably be my
A
most
couple
favorite
power
class.
techs.
But I
Okay,
don't-
yeah.
Just a couple.
I think that if you have the mindset of bring the player rather than the class, just for a moment, I think a lot of classes would do very well. Because things like snipers have entrench, which means they can get the ball without being stunned or CC'd on it, which is a great advantage. Operatives have roll, which means if you can get a pass anywhere past the first fire pit, they are virtually guaranteed to score. You know, Sorks have speed, friendly pull, which is also advantageous to have as well. Every class has something they can bring. Like Mercs, they can stand up on the top tier in Hutball, and they can rain down unholy amounts of damage on you because you can't get up to them and interrupt them. You know, it's good for them as well. You know, every class has something they can bring. Power techs are flat out insane at the moment, so I don't really think it's a fair comparison.
What if? Here's a question. Here's an idea. What if they added a bastion like debuff to you when you get pulled, and they gave everybody those grappling guns, so you can, at the beginning of the Hutball match, everybody has a pull, okay, that they can do, but a person can't be pulled more than once at, say, a certain period of time.
Well, does it affect resolve?
That's what resolve is meant to do, isn't it?
Yeah, resolve could affect it. Yeah, maybe make it resolve, but that would level the playing field as far as other classes, and you wouldn't necessarily be forced to bring PTs.
Okay, well,
Thoughts?
hopefully, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they will think of some esports PvP wise so that we can do that along with the PvP one, or sorry, the PvE one that they're doing.
Yeah. Let's hope. Let's hope it's not 1v1.
Oh, God, that would.
Let's just hope it's not 1v1.
Well,
No.
I want to thank you guys, Zam Zam and Ari, for coming on today. It was quite the pleasure.
Thank you, May. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Minor.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to, let's see. Where can people find you, Zam Zam, if they want to?
I have a Twitter at Rach_games, and I have a blog called zamzamsays.wordpress.com, and I also have a YouTube channel where I'm starting to post stuff. So
Ooh.
yeah.
I like your vlogs, they're good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I do too.
Ari, what about you? Where can people find you?
I'm just on Twitter on Aramanwa. That's Aramanwa. Don't know if you want me to spell that.
Rode will link it, so it's okay. We'll make
Yes.
Rode do it. Minor?
Hey, I'm also on Twitter, Swoter_minor. I'm on Reddit. Somebody, I don't know who wrote me into doing something with Tor community, so you may be seeing me over there doing some stuff. It's all in the planning stages right now, so not much to talk about just yet.
I liked your Grease. The Grease stuff was really good. I like that. You didn't plug it, May.
What, the grease stuff? Oh no.
Yeah.
It was her grease stuff. Wasn't it? What's grease stuff?
The stuff on
Rachel's-
Tor community.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Oh, we didn't do that, no.
No, that was Hayward. But it was really, really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked
it's
it.
like
I will take full credit for that since I'm the new guy over there. I did that.
Yeah, I really like the calculator because I can never know how much of the rep tokens to use. So that really, really helped me because I'm always like, oh, am I going to go over? Am I not? And then, yeah, it was pretty nice. Snaveopotamus.
Oh, yeah.
Snaveopotamus.
Oh, you can find me everywhere, man. I'm on everything. Just look out your window. I'm probably outside your house right now. I'm like the Old Spice guy. I'm on Twitter at Slave1208. Don't pull a face, mate. At least go with the joke. I'm on YouTube, Snave1208. I'm on Twitch, Snave1208, and Hitbox at Snave as well. Cheers.
All right, so make sure to find us at TOROCast.com to read and comment. I don't know. Email Road at TOROCast if you have comments. Comment on us if you have comments. Ask
Comment
questions.
on our comments.
Comments on our comments. Commentception. I'm MaybeBuzz. You can find me at MaybeBuzz on Twitter. And take us out.
That's it.
Thanks.
That's it.
That's it.
Jeez.
That's all, folks.
All right, I will stop the stream now.
Oh, thank God.
I don't like